Are you living exactly the same life you want to live? What is your idea of living a happy, prosperous, and peaceful life? Are you living that life? Let's look at some of the concerns of some individuals. I have set and met my career goals and I'm having tremendous professional success, but it's cost me my personal and family life. I don't know my wife and children anymore. I'm not even sure I know myself and what's really important to me. I have started a new diet again. I know I'm overweight and I really want to change. I set goals, but after a few weeks, I fuzzle. I just can't seem to keep a promise I make to myself. My marriage has gone flat. We don't fight or anything. We just don't love each other anymore. We have gone to counseling, we have tried a number of things, but our relation is not what it was. These are deep, painful problems that quick fix approaches can't solve. Things like reading a new book on improving relations or working on techniques such as positive attitude or good communication skills don't help in solving these problems in long run. These are secondary things. Stephan Covey suggests we need to work more on primary thing. There is something you need to see in a deeper, more fundamental way within yourself that affects the way you see your goals, your relations, your life, your own nature. We look and interpret the world with our own unique lens. This lens is made of our perceptions. Our perceptions are powerfully affected by our conditioning of lifetime, the influences in our lives, family, school, church, work environment, friends, associates, and current social paradigms. These all form our perceptions. These all have their silent, unconscious impact on us. These lenses are sources of our attitude, our behavior. Stephan Covey calls this lens as paradigm. Paradigm is the lens through which we see the world, and that lens itself shapes how we interpret the world. We think we see the things as they are, but actually we see the world as we are conditioned to see it. How we see is how we think is how we act. The more aware we are of our basic paradigms, how much they are influenced by our experiences, the more we can take responsibility for those paradigms. We can examine them, we can listen to others and be open to their perceptions, thereby getting a larger picture and a far more objective view. It is obvious that if we want to make minor changes in our lives, we can focus on our attitude and behaviors. But if we want to make significant quantum change, we need to work on our basic paradigms. Stephan Covey says there are principles that govern human effectiveness. These principles are natural laws in human dimensions, as well as law of gravity in physical dimensions. These principles are deep fundamental truths that have universal applications. They apply to individuals, marriages, families, organizations of every kind. These principles show us the things as they are in reality. That is objective reality. What is that? I see a thing as per my conditioned paradigm. In the same manner, you may see the same thing from your conditioned paradigm. But in the light of these principles, we see the things as they are in reality. Objective reality. And then we understand why different people have different attitude and different opinions about the same thing. When we internalize these principles deep inside, our paradigm becomes aligned with these principles. Principle-centered paradigms show us the objective reality. This objective reality is composed of principles. These principles are lighthouse which guide us objectively. The principles are not mysterious or religious ideas. They seem to exist in all human beings, regardless of social conditioning. For example, the principle of fairness, out of which our whole concept of equity and justice is developed. Or the examples, integrity and honesty. They create the foundation of trust, which is essential to cooperation and long-term personal and interpersonal growth. Another principle is human dignity. The basic concept in the United States Declaration of Independence bespeaks this value or principle. Another principle is service, or the idea of making a contribution. These principles are part of every major enduring religion, as well as enduring social philosophies and ethical systems. These principles are deep fundamental truths that have universal application. These lighthouse principles are the foundation of every civilized society throughout the history and comprise the roots of every family and institution that has endured and prospered. When these truths are internalized into habits, they empower people to deal with different situations. These are basic principles of effective living. We can experience true success and enduring happiness if we internalize these principles into our basic character. The 7 habits of highly effective people embody many of the fundamental principles of human effectiveness. Every habit contains fundamental principles. Habit 1. Be proactive. Habit 2. Begin with the end in mind. Habit 3. Put first things first. Habit 4. Think win-win. Habit 5. Seek first to understand, then to be understood. Habit 6. Synergize. Habit 7. Sharpen the saw. As we look around us and within us and recognize the problems created as we live, we begin to realize that these are deep fundamental problems that can't be solved on the superficial level. To solve these deep concerns, we need a new level of thinking. This new level of thinking is what 7 Habits of Highly Effective People is about. It's a principle-centered, character-based, inside-out approach to personal and interpersonal effectiveness. Inside out means to start first with self, even more fundamentally to start with the most inside part of self, with your paradigms. It says, if you want to have a happy marriage, be the kind of person who generates positive energy and sidesteps negative energy. If you want to have a more pleasant, cooperative teenager, be a more understanding, empathic, loving parent. If you want to have more freedom, more latitude in your job, be a more responsible, a more helpful, a more contributing employee. If you want to be trusted, be trustworthy. If you want the secondary greatness of recognized talent, focus first on primary greatness of a character. The inside-out approach says that private victories precede public victories, that making and keeping promises to ourselves precedes making and keeping promises to others. Many of the principles embodied in 7 Habits are already deep within us, in our conscious and our common sense. To recognize and develop them and to use them in meeting our deepest concerns, we need to think differently, to shift our paradigms to a new, deeper, inside-out level. As we sincerely seek to understand and integrate these principles, we will discover and rediscover the truth of T.S. Eliot's observation. We must not cease from exploration, and the end of all our exploring will be to arrive where we began and to know the place for the first time. 7 habits are habits of effectiveness because they are based on principles. They are based on paradigm of effectiveness that is in harmony with natural laws. They bring the maximum long-term beneficial results. We will discuss each habit and principles in detail in further videos. This video is just tip of an iceberg. We strongly recommend you to go into description, click on the link and buy this book 7 Habits of Highly Effective People today, and most importantly, read it and see the transformation it brings in your life. Let's summarize. If you want to solve the deepest problems of our lives and to live effective life, changing outward attitudes and behaviors doesn't help. These are secondary things. There is something you need to see in deeper, more fundamental way within yourself that affects the way you see your goals, your relations, your life, your own nature. Paradigm is the lens through which we see the world, and that lens itself shapes how we interpret the world. Principle-centered paradigm shows us the objective reality. To solve our deepest concerns and for effective living, we need new level of thinking. This new level of thinking is what 7 Habits of Highly Effective People is about.